Hello, everyone. Welcome again. This is our July 28th virtual open house for the Springwell School. My name once again is Gloria Chan. I am the founder and head of school at Springwell. Welcome to all of you. We are a progressive micro school serving Silver Spring and Tacoma Park. We're right within the Beltway. And here's our home, 9525 Colesville. A lot of folks ask me, Miss Gloria, why on earth did you decide to start a school? It is not for the faint of heart. So much hard work. And I wanted to kick off this open house by sharing with you my why. These are my 3 children. I've got my rising second grader, CJ, my eldest. I have my rising kindergartner, Helena, who's just joined Springwell this summer, and a fresh new human, my 9-month-old Fisher. And when I think about, why I started the school, it really is about future generations in our family, future generations in our community, and really helping fresh new humans navigate the world and all of its wild opportunities. So these are my kiddos. This is me when I was about, 5 years old or so. They had to stack chairs in our little community center where we were doing piano performances. And I like to share this because it shows kind of where my parents' mindset was when they were thinking about my future. My parents are first generation Chinese refugees from the Cultural Revolution. So they came to the United States with nothing and miraculously created all this opportunity for us girls. So I'm so thankful that I had the education that I had, this guidance from them that I had. I remember when I was taking my music lessons as a young child, again, I have no idea how they paid for this because we were a low-income family. I remember that I had 2 folders for my music class and my math supplemental class, my Kumon class. And on these folders were Harvard school logo and the Yale school logo. So I think this was like early visualization from my parents saying like, this is the vision of success that we have for our girls. And their early visualizations really paid off because I ended up going to Swarthmore College, a small liberal arts school. I immediately went to Harvard Law School. So everything that they visualized for me came true. And I've been so blessed with all of the privileges that come along with that. And I would say that what I really learned from the best that the current education system has to offer is how to achieve. I am a recovering perfectionist and recovering workaholic. I know how to find the rules and follow them to a T. I know how to listen to my elders. I know how to listen to authority. I know how to get worried when those in positions of authority do not perhaps like me. I know how to be anxious about that. I know how to do what's expected of me, even if I might not feel fulfilled. I know how to ask for and wait for permission to implement what's in my imagination. I know how to ace the test. I know how to study for that LSAT until I was sick to my stomach and get to one of the toughest schools to get into. And I know how to perform. These are the things that the most elite traditional education has to offer, this is what I took away from it. There were some things that were missing that I didn't learn until my late 20s, my 30s, into my early 40s. And that these big things that were missing were how to lead a life that felt fulfilling to me, to feel for and follow my heart. One way I like to put it is, I didn't know how to match my footsteps with my heartbeat. I didn't know how to do that until much later. To find a sense of authentic purpose, I speak with prospective Springwell parents today who are in their 40s who say, like, I'm still struggling with my sense of purpose because I was never taught how to do that at school. I didn't know how to take responsibility yet, because underachievement, it was under everyone else's orders, under school expectations, under industry expectations. I didn't know how to take full responsibility for my own choices. I really had to work hard at leading confidently, especially as a woman of color, a second generation American, coming from a lower income family, feeling like I was navigating bigger worlds than perhaps my parents knew how to orient me in. So really had to learn these things about even speaking my mind and seeking resolution. I remember when I was a college student, when my parents were asking me for my opinion at the dinner table, and I thought to myself, that's never ever happened before. Like, how do I even speak my mind to grownups? I've never done that before. So in a lot of ways, even the best of the best education that I had access to kind of failed me to prepare for life in this fast-paced world where folks are changing career trajectories and industries within years at a time, where the challenges like environmental degradation, worldwide poverty, domestic poverty, inequality, culture shocks, culture shakes. There's so much that needs fixing in this world. And my job at Springwell is to prepare this generation in a way that perhaps we were not yet prepared. So at Springwell, I see that as my task, not necessarily to prevent suffering for the children, because obviously they will have their own path for how to figure things out that their generation needs to figure out. But my job is to push the envelope forward, and to do some innovation in education. So for all of you who kind of felt that pang of guilt of, I want to support the public school system, and we're all about equalizing opportunity for all folks, I'm totally there with you. The way that I square that in my mind is, what we're doing is we're innovating in our little pocket to push the envelope to maybe stir up some broader systems changes. And our philosophy is learning for life. There will be, sometimes our teachers may test for content. Sometimes we want to know if the children have progressed in reading or progressed in math, but we want to do it in a framework where the students are engaged. They say, I want to learn math because that is how I communicate quantity to my friends. That is how we reach understanding and can make deals. There's a reason behind what we teach. And what's lovely is that we are surrounded not just, as from a founder's vision, where the families that we're attracting are all passionate about doing this job of shifting education just a little bit for our students. So we have a lovely parent community that's completely collaborative. And one of the benefits of being in a micro school is having so much access to me and my team. They're just some of our lovely parents. And, this vision really attracts the staff who are unicorns. They want to make a difference. They are dedicated. They are committed. And for us, culture really, really matters. So I cannot say, that I'm letting go of perfectionism and workaholism, but then treat my staff differently. I'm always constantly balancing our relationships, how authentic we are, how we walk the talk, so that our teachers can hold that same space for our students. And that's why we have high standards of what we want to produce for our families and our students, but we also want to do it from a place of connection and joy. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is completely central to the vision. 50% of our student population is racially, ethnically diverse. I would also say that just about 50% of our families are on sliding scale tuition, where the tuition determination slides with the family's financial situation. So it lends itself to socioeconomic diversity. And we are an open and affirming campus. We welcome students who are non-binary. We welcome families of all shapes and sizes. And so all of these values are incredibly important to us. So we say all the right words, right? There's progressive schools, out in Bethesda, out in DC, maybe you're shopping around in different Quaker schools. All of us say all the right words. We're student-centered, we're curriculum, emerging curriculum with student interests. We meet the whole child where they are. All of these, this vocabulary, we say the right things, but what I want to show you through Ms. Malkia's presentation is that we walk the talk. We have the team that knows how to do this. So with that, I want to introduce Ms. Malkia Zimbi. She is our assistant head of school, a Montessori expert with over 2 decades of experience in education.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gloria. I am on campus, and so I might have a little one that walked through the door. I'll be masking again, or I'll be answering the door. So just know I'll be in and out of this presentation. But yeah, obviously we are we concerned with the 21st century skills? Sure, right? We want to make sure our students are able to communicate, they have critical thinking skills, and they have a level of creativity and that they can collaborate with each other. But we at Springwell are going a little deeper. We're looking at 22nd century skills, right? Like, can your student, care? Like, these are 22nd century skills we're reaching for, right? Can they connect with someone else, right? Can they actually produce a culture of positivity, right? Bloom where they're at. And so in our curriculum and integrating what we have and putting it together, that is the output that we are producing, whether they're 4-year-olds, right? They're new kindergartens, or they're our middle school students. Where, how we help the students, we help them to help themselves to be someone who can bloom, right? That is what, and bloom academically, just in who they are academically, creatively, as a human being, period. And so these basic skills, like I'm talking about the 20th century skills in being able to care, connect, have creative force, and generate culture, takes a little more thinking. I will say we start off the school year with a lot of social emotional learning tasks and in our curriculum. Yeah, so obviously, if we look at Maslow needs, the physical needs, safety and love and esteem, all of this is what we concentrate on, I would say, the first 12 weeks of school. And why? Because we kind of actually need that in order for the student to feel safe, not just physically, but psychologically and intellectually. Like, oh, this is a place that I can make mistakes and grow from it, right? And so we put a lot of emphasis and to doing this in the first 12 weeks. Actually, we do it all year long, but specifically the first 12 weeks of school. And we're asking the whole community to do the same walk with us, to build the community together, where every citizen matters in all aspects. So I think one of the teachers, yes, Mr. Noah, who's our middle school teacher, he said in all the years, decades that, that he wants his students to, remember the habits, right? Regardless of the content that he's teaching, because he knows that the habits are the lifelong skills. And this is true. And so, his concentration, his way of being Socratic with the students, his way of handling, handling these Socratic discussions with their students are to develop habits and self-management skills, and that they are able to articulate on their needs and able to collaborate with the rest of the group. And so we start this in the beginning. This is not something that we wait for when they have more articulation skills or they're able to communicate more. We start this process now, and we're very intentional about it. Yes, do we test students? Do we do the basics? Yes, we do, right? Do we do, we do the Eureka math, as well as we use Montessori materials as well, or any other materials that we need to in our math groups. Sometimes in a general class, we might have 2 to 3, or maybe even 4 different groups that we have to do small interventions with in the beginning of the year. We assess students 3 times a year, right? 1 per semester. So we know that progress is being made. And we actually share that data with the students. So we know, okay, this is our target. This is where we're trying to meet. And this is how we're going to practice to do so. For our reading foundation program, we have Wilson, which obviously addresses a lot of our students who have ADHD, who have dyslexia, because it's interactive, they have touch points. There's just a different ways of approaching, and it's heavy on phonics, where a lot of reading programs and most institutions do not concentrate on phonics as much. So we've found success with that, and we also have our reading specialist that's joining us this year to actually go deeper into our Wilson program. All of our teachers, by the way, have had their foundation training, so they'll get it inside the classroom anyway, whether they're with the enrichment literacy coach or not. We do, we have ongoing observations, as is stated, and feedback for our teachers. I meet with the teaching team once a week. Their observations, I might have 2 to 3 per semester. And really, because, we're growing our teachers as well, right? We meet our students where they're at. We also meet our teachers where they're at. And our intention is to grow the team, right? And, to become more of a unicorn, not less, Some of the things that, as you can see here, we have our garden, we have their interactive games. I think that's a picture, of Mr. Noah's game that he usually has with his on Wednesdays, just team collaboration games. And so helps them to develop their critical thinking skills and able to work with someone else in order to, to solve this task. Obviously, art integration is really important. We really do take everything and make it a hands-on approach for our students, whether it's from, doing some drumming, having, just constructing something, so we make sure we have core understanding of what they're doing. This is one of our fractions class. Obviously, fraction is not just it's just not a paper pencil activity, right? You can do it in many kinds of ways. And this is an example of students using clay to demonstrate their understanding. Once understanding the vocabulary, looking at the word itself, what is fraction and what does it mean? And, making sure they have a good understanding of what it is and the history of the word. Then they went into, demonstrating it in different kinds of ways. And so this was a small class that was able to do that with the clay demonstrations. I remember hearing someone, our class ratio size, because they are so small, we have 2 teachers per classroom. And so we really can address the needs of all the students in the classroom and really meet them where they're at and develop them semester by semester. Okay. We also definitely have, our STEM program that the students get a chance to actually, integrate their science and math skills in order to create other other projects with. And so it's obviously it's all hands-on, and they usually have a whole bunch of fun doing it. So most of the times they actually do not want to stop doing these activities. This bridge building, demonstration, Gloria, you might want to jump into this one because I didn't get a chance to observe this, but I know you had raving reviews about this one.
Yeah, this was so lovely. So they were studying engineering concepts and learning about physics and how to strengthen structures. And so after they did some history of learning about how bridges were built and how people experimented with it, they split off into, I think, about 4 or 5 groups of teams of 2 or 3 students, and each put it into practice, tested out their bridge building skills, and finally had a little feedback gallery walk where they tested out how many beanbags each bridge could actually hold up. So it was a beautiful demonstration of, learning the concepts and then actually making them matter in some form in life. So I was really proud of them for this. They all passed. All their bridges held 22 beanbags. And lovely.
So we definitely also have our own Springwell bucks that the students get a chance to create and design. We do obviously the history of money and and how it's been developed in different parts of the world. And it's really awesome because, the students get a chance to design their own projects. They get to sell to each other. And if you can imagine a kindergarten actually making a demonstration of clay and being able to go to the upper elementary classroom and sell their product, we have this exchange that happens maybe once a week, which is like such an awesome connection, obviously, between the classrooms, but also let students know that they can be producers, right? I can produce this demonstration and what it means to me, and then see what it looks like on the market at the Springwell market. And so it's just an amazing integration of writing, critical thinking, their math skills. Yes, obviously the older students do have accountability and they have to account and balance their sheets, right, to make sure they're actually producing and getting enough for it. And it's just an amazing process. And it's once they get started with this, which is usually the second semester, they usually are like, oh no, they don't ever want to, I had one kindergarten student, by the way, first grader who made the most money last year. But she was able to save. She was pretty economically. She just generated the money and didn't hardly spend her money when it was time. And so at the end of the year, everyone was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you have so many Springwell bucks. And they were trying to convince her, the upper elementary students were trying to convince her to buy, but no serving. She was so proud of her little purse and how much she saved. And so, it's like the beginning process of the economy, and they do need to know that because obviously they will be upholding the economy in the future. And so they might as well practice now, right? And see what that feels like. And so we do give them the conversation of what we currently have in our society, and then how to make it different. We always start with, oh, hey, this is a common structure that we have. This is, that we have in our system. And most of the time they're like, okay, this is not fair. We need to create some other ways of making this more just. And so it's really great conversations that we have from the beginning.
So just to kind of give a larger framework for our parents, we, like Ms. Malkia said, we start from the very foundations of all that socio-emotional learning, how to be in oneself, how to be in a community, how to work with other friends. and then our foundational curriculum of math and reading instruction. And what you'll see here is this broader exposure to cultural themes or science themes. We do kind of an around the world trip every year, studying different continents and countries all around the world. And so it's out of all of this lovely foundation that the students begin communicating to the teachers, oh, hey, this is what I'm really sparked by. This is what I'm so interested by. That by the spring session, all of that emergent curriculum really balloons. It's not to say that there isn't emergence happening in the fall and the winter, but it really blossoms in the springtime. And we love it, we allow for it, we make space for it. And here are some student-led lessons from last spring that happened. One of our upper elementary students was obsessed with Eastern culture and origami and making all these intricate origami patterns, teaching himself how to do it. He was so obsessed that he went to our lower elementary classroom and taught an origami lesson. And on the left, you see a science lesson on slime that one of our upper elementary students is teaching to her peers. So there's lots of great opportunity for these one-off discoveries, but also longer explorations, like the student studied origami and practiced it over a few weeks' time. So this is kind of some of examples of how student emerging curriculum happens at Springwell. I think Ms. Melky already mentioned some of our enrichment programs, gardening, music. This coming year, we also have some Spanish and arts, so Spanish and pantomime and visual arts and puppetry. There's going to be some lovely enrichment this year. We're also in conversation with the YMCA for some additional physical education. So more to come there. I'll run through these last couple of slides fairly quickly just to make time for questions. So COVID protocols, we have a school nurse that we contract with. She's an off-site nurse, and she's just keeping tabs on the pandemic globally, nationally, and locally here. So we will always base any changes in school policy on research and data. So we are still wearing masks indoors because we're waiting for data that suggests that unmasking indoors is safe. And we haven't quite had enough time to make sure that that's the case yet. So we're still masking. Out of our students, and staff, we require vaccination for COVID-19 and staying up to date with any boosters that they're eligible for. We do have medical or religious exemptions that may be requested. We have testing that's required even for those vaccinated after long breaks or holidays. Of course, if you're not feeling well, please stay home. We have temperature checks at the door and all of your hand washing rituals that are happening on campus and social distancing. We have HEPA filters throughout the classrooms with regular cleaning and disinfecting. And we social distance as best as we possibly can with students, which is difficult. On enrollment, we have one more spot in lower elementary for this year. For upper elementary, we have 2 more spots. And for middle school, we have 4 more spots. And for those parents that are looking ahead to future years, great job, keep it up. We prefer not to wait till the last minute. There is sliding scale tuition. It's determined based on the income and financial situation for each household. Every family in our community looks a little different. So I will work with you directly to figure out based off of our sliding scale and in discussion with you, a determination that works for your family. You could decide to pay at once, 3 session payments, or 10 monthly payments. And for those of you who are looking for September as your start date, I would go ahead and apply right away. I would not wait. I would apply by this weekend if possible. the initial application is really quick, just about your child, about your interest. It doesn't take long. And we request that you submit those academic and financial records by August 8th. And the reason is that it takes some time to process. And after you hit mid-August, teachers are in orientation, we're in staff training. Staff is taking, last minute summer breaks. So you don't want to lose that time. So submit everything by August 8th and have your parent guardian meeting with us by August 8th. And then we'll let you know by the 17th. We'll let you know. And then we would like a firm decision deadline to respond by August 17th. That will give us just enough time to schedule in our home visits before school starts. So please don't wait if you're considering applying for this September. And then finally, I will stop share and open the floor up for questions. Yay, we have more than 15 minutes, which is what I was trying to allot. So the floor is yours. If you are taking yourself off camera, I will blur your faces. So, to stay confidential and anonymous. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question on what grades are considered lower elementary versus upper elementary.
Yeah, great question. So our lower elementary is kindergarten and first grade. Upper elementary is grades 2 to 4. And we actually have some fourth graders who are used to working with older students who are in the middle school classroom. So there's, it is designed to be grades 5 to 8 for middle school, but we do have older fourth graders who are joining that middle school classroom.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I have a question about, oops, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to ask about the middle school. The middle school is new. Is it new this year? Okay, so how many students are in the middle school?
It is new this year. Given the who's enrolled in the pipeline, I would estimate about 7.
Okay.
So it's a lovely, lovely community where the teachers will allow for that kind of Socratic relationship, lots of connectivity and really teamwork, team building. So that kind of intimate space will be really lovely. And also allows for kind of spontaneity and field trips and going off into seeing what the DMV has to offer in terms of museums and things. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cheryl? Or was it Robert? Someone had a question.
I think it was Robert, but because I had asked my question, thank you.
Got it, you bet.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't have a question.
I think that was me, David.
Okay.
I had a question about the age cutoff. Our daughter will be 5 September of 23, but not before September 1st, like September 5th.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
So we have a policy to admit older 4-year-olds who show that they are kind of socially ready for a classroom environment. So we will work with families on a case-by-case basis for our 4-year-olds.
Okay. And then does the curriculum incorporate foreign language like Spanish or French or any other language?
So currently we have Spanish and arts enrichment scheduled for 2 sessions this coming year, fall and the spring session. We also have teachers who are fluent in Mandarin and Japanese. So we're starting to design what that might look like. So right now the foreign language program is not an immersion program, and it's not a fluency or literacy focused program. Right now, it's just about exposure, global awareness, knowing that, English isn't the only language around. So that's kind of our focus as we grow the program. my answer for next year might be a little different. So keep tabs on us for that.
Awesome, thank you.
You bet.
I have a question. I would love to hear a little bit more about kind of teacher training and development. I know you talked about like a growth oriented culture and just the strengths of your teachers, but I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit more about just like what kind of what you all do in-house, out, like what you all do with others that like to support educators and those who are staffing the school.
Yeah, you bet. Miss Malkia, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
Sorry, what was the question?
Teacher training and how we support growth for our teachers. Do you want to take it or you want me to take it?
You can take it. Yeah, for now.
Okay, so I mean, same as with the students, we meet our teachers where they're at. So some teachers are coming with, really strong Wilson phonics instruction expertise. Some of our teachers are coming with amazing arts integration and nonverbal communication. Some teachers are coming with amazing responsive classroom skills, like facilitating dialogue, and some of the level of dialogue that they've gotten our 2nd to 4th graders to has been really amazing. It sometimes sounds like a nonprofit boardroom. So everyone is kind of at these different spaces, and the way that we view staff training is for staff to share their strengths and help shore each other up. So that's kind of in-house, meeting our staff where they are. At the beginning of every session, we also make time for this similar reflection on like, who are we as teachers? What's your personal values? Why are we at Springwell? Similar to what we do with the students, lots of self-reflection and knowledge, and a lot of collaboration so that the team culture is there. How do we resolve conflicts in the workplace? How do we have great communication? And then from there, any gaps that need to be filled, we will bring in outside educators to come in. So for example, I am currently talking with various school counselors who could potentially do a training for us. I am on the hunt for some woodworking training to teach our teachers how to show kiddos how to woodwork. So when there is a need, we kind of meet the need there, and we shore up our strengths and make sure that our teamwork is, really strong.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. It is hard work, Samantha. It is not easy to be a grown-up. It's not easy to be a human on this planet, living with so many other humans. So, when we say work culture, we really mean it. And Miss Malkia can attest that, she and I really work hard to sustain a strong bond from the top so that our community feels that sense of kind of wholeness and balance all throughout the school.
I would just add also, and again, I apologize, I'm addressing, we're about to go to the park. So, another thing we do go to the community park at least once to twice a week. We're going to Indian Springs for their session, but, honoring dignity, right? The dignity of the human being, whether there are 4-year-olds or, the adults in the community. This is something that we continuously practice. And if violated, we make amends, right? We make amends to make it right, because we want everyone not just to feel like they belong, but that they actually do matter in this space. And so that's a learning process. That's not an overnight. That is not something that just happens. That's a work in progress. And that's why learning how to learn from feedback and failure is important, right? It's like, oh man, I didn't get my communication right this time with this person. What do I need to do? And our students need to know that. And it's a life skill, right? This is a life skill they'll have with them for the rest of their lives. And this is how you build community. You have to have discussions. You have to have collaboration. You have to actually work it out.
And I would say that, we make sure that that core is there at the school so that we can bring in the outside world, right? Our parent community, our community of resources, of other educators. That is how we work with our parents as well. It's highly collaborative. It's as collaborative as the family would like, essentially, is how we approach our family relationships.
This is Margaret. Could you speak about the reading instruction? So how do you approach teaching the younger kids how to read, and then how does that progress with the upper elementary?
Well, we do, for our reading instructions, we do our Wilson reading system. And so we have that from K all the way to 5, right? Based on which students actually need direct phonics instruction. And we might have a 5th grader who may need to get their foundational skills. And so that student will get that. We have that. What does it look like throughout the school day? We have a reading block. And we also have another reading instruction time in the afternoon. And so students might, be in the reading group of 1 to 3 ratio. We also have a reading specialist, a reading coach at this point that can have 1-to-1, depending on how intensive it is throughout the school day. But in the classroom, they would have their language and reading time in the morning, and 2 times a day is what it looks like for 4 days to 5 days a week.
Yeah, and Margaret, I know you said you had a 3rd grader. So for our all of our elementary teachers are trained in Wilson foundations. So the basic phonics instruction that they'll do daily in the block that Miss Melkia mentioned. And then there are the reading specialist and one other teacher on campus that are on their Wilson system certification track. And so that's the area that Ms. Melkia is mentioning for those older struggling readers, that there will be small groups pulled out to focus in on that. But even in our younger classrooms, they're differentiated. So obviously the kindergartners and 1st graders will have different skills. And that's why we have 2 teachers in the room, both of whom are trained in foundations, so that they can have differentiated instruction during that morning block.
Thanks.
Any other questions? I'm going to pause the recording and then stay on just in case some folks are a little shy. So to the virtual world, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you soon. Don't wait to apply, and we're available for any questions.